I'm here to deal with the issue which has been raised in the public domain regarding the alleged shortage of red sand for the construction sector. And I want to get right into some comments made by former minister responsible for EMBD, Dr. Rudal Munilal. And he's used some words talking about incompetence, rampant mismanagement, and absence of priorities of this government. And that is a nice point to take off from, because I want to tell you firstly, on the day before the election, general election 2015 was announced, the EMBD, under Mr. Munilal's watch as the line minister, purported to issue some letters of awards to contractors to operate some of these sand pits. That was on June 10, 2015. And I believe it is a few hours before the date of the 2015 general election was announced. And at that time, Mr. Munilal, as the line minister and EMBD, must have known that there were serious issues in the operations of those sand pits. In particular, in January 2015, the cabinet was advised, and that is the cabinet led by former Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, of which Mr. Munilal was a member. The cabinet was advised of the issues relating to those sand pits, and in particular, that those sand pits were being operated without a mining license, and the leases for the land on which those sand pits operated had not been put into place. And it is well known in the construction industry, is well known in dealing with any sand pit, that one fundamental requirement is that you have a title to the land, and secondly, you have the appropriate licenses from the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries to operate the sand pit. So when the EMBD in 2015, June 2015, purported to make these awards to these 6 contractors, both the line minister, Dr. Munilal, and EMBD would have known that there was absolutely no basis for making such an award. There was no basis for making it because the appropriate documentation was not in place, and prior to that they would also have known that EMBD has had a terrible history in terms of the management of the sand pits that they were allocated since 2003. I want to say that EMBD has conducted its checks in relation to the awards made in June 2015, and so far the company has found absolutely no documentation in the form of a request for proposals, a request for tenders, bid documents, evaluations by the management of the EMBD, decisions of the board of EMBD relating to an appropriate tenders process. EMBD has found no documentation. I'm not saying that documentation does not exist. And in fact, I would invite Dr. Munilal as the former line minister to assist us in finding those documents, to assist us in establishing the basis on which those awards were made in June 2015, and to assist us, since he seems to be the most competent of them all, to assist us in establishing the basis for the grant of these awards in 2015. What I can say is that since we've assumed office in September 2015, the government has taken these appropriate steps in order to deal with the EMBD and in particular with the sand pits. We've now reached the point where we have cleared the way with the Minerals Division of the Ministry of Energy. An application was made a while now by the EMBD to the Minerals Division to operate those sand pits on a legal basis through the grant of a mining license. Arrangements have been made with the Commissioner of State Lands for the grant of the appropriate lease, and arrangements have been put in place for the interim operation of those sand pits by there are 2 sand pits which are still operational by the existing operators, while all the documentation and everything that needs to be done has been done. EMBD intends to issue an RFP for the operation of those sand pits. It would be open to all bidders, it would be evaluated, a decision would be made, and when that decision has been made, we are confident that EMBD will begin operating those sand pits in accordance with the law. In relation to the red sand shortage that is being spoken about, I myself have received letters from particular contractors. The Minister of Works has indicated to me that he has received letters from contractors. I can say that EMBD has been furnished with no information from the Contractors Association or from any particular contractor in relation to the requirements for sand, the shortage of sand. EMBD is working to get that information from the Contractors Association. EMBD is also working with NIDCO to establish the requirements for the construction sector for red sand. Over the coming months, we recognize that the government's construction program will place a demand for the red sand, and EMBD intends to meet that demand through the appropriate arrangements with the construction sector. I just want to say that it's something I've said on many occasions. It is not something that is unfamiliar to hear former ministers of government from the People's Partnership government take the position as though they have no responsibility, as though they were not involved, and hold the PNM government accountable for everything that has happened. But I say that Mr. Munilal, Dr. Munilal, should be extremely familiar with this matter. It unfolded under his watch. He knows that the matter of the operation of those sand pits has been a very serious issue. In fact, in 2010, 2011, this matter was raised before the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee. EMBD was grilled on the operation of those sand pits. EMBD was asked about the documentation, the accountability for revenues received, the accountability for sand removed, and as far as I can recollect, there's been no information furnished to the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee during that period. So it is a long-standing issue. It's a matter that has been ventilated in the Parliament. It is a matter that has gone to the Cabinet. And we've now reached the point where we believe that EMBD's sand pits would be put on the appropriate course.